Let's continue with our discussion of The Dose Effect by T.J. Power. Today is the fourth part of our interpretation. Let's continue exploring how the four key brain chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, regulate our mental states. On a personal level, this knowledge gives you a practical handle. On a broader level, it offers a path of self-cultivation. When you feel joy or sadness, calm or unease, whenever emotions fluctuate, if you can carefully observe your inner state and describe it precisely, you'll gain great power over your emotions. Just like a martial arts master who can sense the tiniest changes in their body, you can learn to clearly perceive your own mind. Then, make positive adjustments. We don't indulge in poetic melancholy or motivational hype. We use scientific awareness of how these mechanisms work to regulate ourselves consciously. Today's focus is serotonin, the neurotransmitter that helps you maintain an optimal mental state in daily life. Serotonin not only regulates emotion, but also cognition, sleep, appetite, pain, and digestion. Yet what we care most about are two of its roles: balancing emotion and sustaining energy levels. Simply put, if you feel drained, unmotivated, uninterested, or easily irritable and anxious, your serotonin system might be out of balance. T.J. Power's book gives a good overview, but it misses some physiological details. Serotonin actually exists in two systems, chemically identical but functionally distinct. Brain serotonin, synthesized within the brain, regulates mood, cognition, sleep, and pain perception. Gut serotonin, synthesized in the intestines, mainly controls intestinal movement and blood platelet function. Serotonin made in the gut cannot enter the brain. That's because of the blood-brain barrier, a tightly packed wall of capillary cells in the brain that blocks large molecules, including serotonin and dopamine produced outside the brain. So serotonin in the brain and gut play separate roles. Gut serotonin can still influence mood, but indirectly and through different mechanisms. Let's start with brain serotonin. When serotonin levels in the brain are low, whether due to nutritional deficits, faulty release, or impaired reuptake, a person tends to feel mentally fatigued, trapped in negative emotions, and disinterested in everything. Everyone gets tired after a day's work, but that's a different kind of fatigue, caused by depleted glucose or overstimulated dopamine and norepinephrine. That kind of tiredness is normal and goes away after rest or a good night's sleep. Low serotonin fatigue, however, is psychological fatigue. Serotonin works alongside dopamine and norepinephrine. When it's lacking, you lose motivation and interest, become irritable, and resist others' suggestions. If it worsens, you may spiral into negative emotions, self-blame, anxiety, and rumination. Almost everyone has experienced this state. It's not a psychological flaw. It's a physiological one. Brain serotonin doesn't make you happy. It helps you stay steady, emotionally centered and unaffected by extreme highs or lows. In this sense, serotonin represents resilience, the power to return to baseline after emotional turbulence. Serotonin primarily acts in three brain regions: the amygdala, which governs emotional responses, especially negative ones; prefrontal cortex, which exercises rational control over emotion; the hippocampus, which manages memory and stress effects. When serotonin levels are balanced, it keeps the amygdala calm, helps the prefrontal cortex interpret emotions accurately, and protects the hippocampus from chronic stress. Serotonin helps emotions return to equilibrium, like a spring that always bounces back. Without enough serotonin, that spring breaks, and emotions get stuck in negativity. Positive emotions need balance, too. Say you win the lottery. Dopamine surges, and you're ecstatic. But dopamine desensitizes quickly. If serotonin doesn't stabilize the system, you'll crash from euphoria to emptiness, wondering why today isn't as good as yesterday. That's why both extreme joy and deep sorrow are unstable states. Serotonin brings you back to center. A stable, peaceful mind is a happy one. You feel neither drained nor restless, you think clearly, and you make sound judgments. That calm baseline gives you energy and willingness to engage with life. About gut serotonin. Over 90% of serotonin in the body is produced in the intestines. It doesn't cross into the brain, but gut nerves send signals through the vagus nerve, affecting mood over time. If your gut is unhealthy, low fiber, poor microbiome, frequent diarrhea, or constipation, your serotonin levels may drop, and the vagus nerve transmits distress signals to the brain. The brain interprets these as anxiety, agitation, or fatigue, creating a feedback loop of stress and tension. That's why gut health matters. Eat more whole foods, avoid ultra-processed products, and consider probiotics. Brain serotonin is also influenced by nutrition and behavior, especially sleep, nature exposure, and sunlight. Contact with nature not only lifts mood, but restores attention. Taking a walk outdoors without your phone, observing trees, leaves, and natural sounds, all sharpen your thinking. In the early 2000s, Japan faced a national crisis of death by overwork. One effective remedy they discovered was forest bathing. Immersing oneself in nature, which reduces stress, anxiety, and depression, and improves sleep. Sunlight also plays a key role. Why do people often feel low in winter? Because of less sunlight. That's why we say someone with a positive mindset has a sunny disposition. The metaphor is literal. Sunlight biologically supports emotional balance. Get sunlight before you check your phone in the morning. A quick way to restore serotonin balance is slow breathing, helping the body slow down. The worst emotional state is when you're trapped in overthinking, stuck in repetitive, negative loops. The more you think, the worse you feel. Stress builds, and your body joins the chaos. This is when physical intervention is necessary. Your body runs on two systems. The sympathetic nervous system, alert, fight or flight, and the parasympathetic nervous system, calm, rest and digest. The vagus nerve is the key bridge in the parasympathetic system, meaning physical calm can bring emotional calm. Slow your body, and your mind will follow. The principle: lower your heart rate. And since you can't control your heartbeat directly, you regulate it through breathing. 2 effective methods. 1. Resonance breathing. 6 full breaths per minute. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, exhale through the mouth for 6 seconds, and repeat for several minutes. 2. Physiological sigh. Take 1 deep nasal breath, then a quick second inhale to fill your lungs completely, then exhale slowly with a long sigh through your mouth. Repeat about 10 times. When you're stressed, anxious, or trapped in dark thoughts, these slow breathing exercises help you regain control. When serotonin is balanced, you feel calm, clear, and energized. The insight here is that inner stability, not excitement, should be our natural baseline. This is why sages throughout history advised: avoid both extreme joy and deep sorrow. Excessive joy overstimulates the dopamine system, leading to a rebound crash. Stability feels better than volatility. Serotonin is the buffer and balancer of emotional extremes. Equanimity itself is a positive state, calm yet ready, peaceful yet alert. You move gracefully, but energy is stored and waiting. Your dopamine and norepinephrine are loaded in the chamber, but you're not wasting them. This is not passive waiting, nor reckless impulse. It's a poised readiness, a serene vitality. Isn't that the ideal daily default mode? Serene composure, joyful ease, and tranquil confidence. That's what it means to live in serotonin balance. And as we now understand, that's not just a matter of mindset. It's a matter of physiology. That's it for today's content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.